And welcome back to 90s Noise. This is Ashley, born 1988.
I'm April, born 1991.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back.
We're back.
We're back. We are in 92. We are
1992.
deep in it. Well, I don't know when this is going to be coming out, but we're early in it. We're deep in it. We're somewhere in the middle. But we are talking about the Honey I Shrunk. I don't even know really what do they call the franchise. Is that just like Honey I Shrunk the Kids franchise, I guess? The trilogy?
That's the Shrunk Trilogy.
The Shrunk trilogy, huh?
But it's really not though, because
It's
the
not
second one
though.
isn't. They
Mm-hmm.
didn't
Yeah.
shrink. Well, they had to at the end
I
shrink it
shrunk
back
back
to
down.
size.
Grammatically though, incorrect because it should be Honey I Shrank the Kids, not Shrunk. So if
Are
we're
you
getting
really getting all
proper.
English professor on me?
I mean, hey, it works. Not that as a
Is
kid
it
I ever would have thought of like, oh, they didn't. That's
is
not
it
titled
really?
properly.
Is
Yeah, it's
it
supposed to be
really?
shrank. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I always get confused though with the shrunk, shrinks, those type of wordings like
Yeah.
drunk, drank. I don't know. Those ones always confuse
I
me.
drank something, but it got me drunk.
Oh,
I don't know. I did decent in English,
me too.
but
Yeah.
grammar was probably my worst
Yeah.
portion of English.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't do the best with grammar. I still don't,
I mean,
honestly.
honestly, the English language is so crappy in a lot of those things. We have weird ways of like so many words mean you say them the same, but they have so many different meanings, and I just like no,
There,
that's too
there,
much.
there, there.
Yeah, people still now don't know how to utilize the proper ones or your like all of those or
I
no.
always do that. Is it you are? Is it yours? Or
Mm-hmm.
like that's how I
You're
think
right.
about
Yeah.
it. Is it something where I'm conjoining the two words,
Mm-hmm.
or is it?
A
I don't even
possessional
remember.
thing. I
Yeah,
think it's what it
and
is. It's like a possessive of yeah. That's
yeah,
yours.
which ugh, I literally have to thank God for like grammar checking on professional emails and everything.
Yes.
Because
Yes,
I
absolutely.
always do that when I'm typing, because I'll type too fast and then I'll go back and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
is that the right one? I don't remember.
Yeah.
And I'll like sit there for a minute before I send it because I'm second guessing myself.
Right. Yeah. Utilizing the autocorrect and all that kind of stuff, and it helps to make us sound smarter than we probably are.
Yeah.
But hey,
Yeah,
regardless,
absolutely.
I personally enjoyed Honey I Shrunk the Kids growing up. Like obviously that movie was released in 89, so it's not
Mhm.
a 90s movie, but they followed it up with two sequels that are out in the 90s and a TV series. So
Forgot
it
about the TV series.
I thought that I remembered watching some of it, and I may have like on Disney reruns and stuff, but
Hmm.
I tried rewatching one of the episodes, and I don't know, it didn't really seem as familiar to me as I thought. So maybe I didn't watch it. Maybe I watched random ones throughout, because it's not like it's really it doesn't really follow the movies. It's just sort of following the family and all of the other crazy things that they get into. So it's not really
Yeah.
based off of what those other movies had talked about.
Is the dad the same?
So all the characters are different in the movie. It's not any of the same actors.
Okay, so because wasn't the third the Honey We Shrunk Ourselves or
Hmm.
whatever, wasn't that like his last
Yeah, it
movie?
was.
Because he's
Then he
retired from
retired.
acting.
Yeah, I heard about that. That's crazy.
Which
Because I mean,
I
he was the only one really in the third movie that was the original. Like they didn't have any of the
mhm,
same kids, like anything like that. It was basically
yeah,
the mom was different. It was just a very weird setup.
it
Like
was
I don't know, it
cousins
was very
instead of
odd.
neighbors.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. So okay, the first one, like you're saying, came out in
Mm-hmm.
1989,
Mm-hmm.
and it was set as two neighbors, two sets of neighbors.
With their kids, yeah.
Yeah. And it was the like what the 12-year-old boys,
Mm-hmm.
one on each side, and then there was the older sister and then the older brother.
Right.
And is it when you rewatched it, were you thinking to yourself, is it because this is what was going through my head? I was like, damn, they seemed a lot older when I was younger. They like the two oldest especially, they seemed like they were a lot older than rewatching it they kind of look like babies.
Okay, yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah. No, I agree. I felt like when I was younger, they watching them, they seemed like an older group of kids,
Yeah.
kind of going through all of that. But they really weren't. They were actually quite young, and to experience everything that they went through in that movie is kind of a movie is kind of scary almost. Like there are some moments in it where you're kind of like getting anxiety and freaking out, and of course then there's like sad moments and just like a huge mixture of things happening in that movie. It was kind of like a roller coaster of emotions that you were going on. Like, did you not find that the ant portion of the movie was traumatizing? Like, that was so
Yes.
fucking sad. Like, are you kidding me right now? Like, why do we need to kill Auntie? Why? Tell me.
See, here's my thing. You can kill any person in a movie. You can, I don't care,
She's
honestly.
evil.
I am evil, but you can kill the main character, you can kill their kid. I don't care. But when you get into an animal and even the ant
Mm-hmm.
in this one, I can't.
No.
I just can't.
Yeah.
I literally have to be on my phone or doing something else to get through that part if I'm going to make it through the
Right.
movie
Right.
because I just can't handle it. Like,
Well, no, I mean,
I'm
well,
not good
because
with it.
they got you super attached to the ant. Like you became emotional for him. Like you became like invested in what he was doing. Oh my God, he's now saving the kids. And like, so of course, how can we not feel sad when he passes? Like,
Yeah.
what are they trying to do to us? Like,
Disney, okay, if you think about it, like late 80s, early 90s Disney movies were brutal. Like
yeah.
absolutely brutal. We will get to one that I think is probably one of the most traumatizing
Which
ones,
one?
Homeward Bound.
Uh, I love that movie.
I do too.
But it's so
That's
sad too.
that's for 1993. That's our feel-good movie for
Oh,
1993.
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like they were just plain like I don't know, sadistic in their writing process for killing these creatures that we grow to grow attachments to.
Mm-hmm.
I
Right.
mean, thankfully, in Homeward Bound, for anybody who's not seen it, none of them die, thank God. But it's just like they were really tugging on our emotions at an early age, and
Mm-hmm.
it fucking sucks. Like going back and
Yeah.
rewatching some of these, it's
Yeah,
hard.
exactly. Yeah, you're like, wait, why was I liking this as a kid? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't remember when I watched these movies. Obviously, was not 89 for this first one, but I do really remember the movies and like as a whole, like the whole series. I do remember all of them. Like I remembered everything that happened and kind of all the inventions and the in-betweens and stuff. So it is still with me, like that whole series, which is kind of cool. But it was interesting to look into the first one, and I didn't realize how freaking successful that first one was. Like it
Oh
was
yeah.
competing with Batman. They opened the same day. It was competing alongside Batman, and it did like super well. I think it made like 222 million worldwide,
Wow.
and was Disney's um it was Disney's like first successful live action film, like their most
Mhm.
successful during that time period. But people were saying from like things I was pulling up online, people were saying that actually worked in their favor that they opened the same time as Batman because the Batman times were selling out, that they people had no other choice but to basically, if they wanted to go to the movies, go see Honey I Shrunk the
Yeah.
Kids. That was kind of worked out in their favor, which is really crazy to think about because nowadays, if a times were sold out for shows, we would just wait. I mean, I don't think I would go really pick another movie necessarily if I really wanted to see that one.
Well, so I remember doing this kind of thing back when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
It would be us as a whole family would go to the
Mm-hmm.
movies,
Right.
and we would choose a time where there was like two or three movies that we were interested
Mm-hmm.
in,
Right.
because at that time the movie was usually only playing one theater of each. Maybe like the big blockbuster had two theaters going,
Mm-hmm.
but that was rare.
Right.
Once my brothers got a little older, when we'd still go for family movie night, my brothers would sometimes go see something else that may have start a little earlier,
Mm-hmm.
but be a longer movie because what they were wanting to watch was maybe a 2 hour movie. What I wanted to watch was like an hour and a half. And so
Right.
my movie started after theirs, but we got done about the same time, so then we could go do food or whatever. But that's, I think, also how a lot of times families were. They would have it planned for one movie, but if it wasn't, you then had to wait for the entire time frame of the movie to be able to see the next showing. And a lot of people just didn't want to wait, and or they're like, okay, well, that's going to put the rest of our night so far behind.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was definitely so different back then because you didn't have the opportunity to buy tickets in advance or kind of see all of the available show times playing at the theaters around you type thing and pick out what you wanted and you just showed up, hope that you can get into what you were wanting to see. And I know we've done that before too in the past that you would go, it was sold out. Okay, what else is playing that's going to be something that we would enjoy watching? If there was, we'd pick it. If there wasn't, we would, unfortunately have to leave. But yeah, you're making the trip all the way into town to go see something. The last thing you want is to then have to turn around and go back home, not getting to do the family activity you had planned. So,
Especially with young kids who, when
mm-hmm.
when you get their sights set on something, if you say, hey, oh, hey kids, guess what? The movie sold out. We're not going to a movie tonight. You're gonna have to wait until next week. And
Exactly.
that's just, especially if you have more than one kid, they're gonna be super upset. And
Mm-hmm.
pizza, candy, and ice cream can only go so far in healing a broken heart when you had your sights set on a movie.
Yeah, yeah. I am thankful for kind of the changes that the movie industry has made nowadays that we have the ability to pre-book and, be able to work around those issues that were in the earlier days. But there's so many more like you said, there's so many more showings nowadays of the movies and more theaters and stuff. So it's not as big of an issue. I don't feel like I've had an issue nowadays where I encounter a movie that's sold out to where I can't get a seat. You know what I mean? Have you had that happen to you recently?
Recently, no. The issue I sometimes have is that if there's a movie that I want to go see and it's not a huge blockbuster, like it's kind of
Mm.
more of an indie film, I have trouble finding it because those
Oh yeah.
aren't being released very much. Well, not to the different markets. And
Right.
in this area, I don't know where there's really a good indie theater. Like back in Kansas, at one time they had like four theaters or something like that. But then they had the main theater, which was like the big blockbuster movies, the
Mm-hmm.
the nice plush couches, and then there was Liberty Hall downtown that was the one that was doing the more indie movies. So that's kind of been my issue. I I don't know, or it's just been, I don't know, nowadays with movies, they've just gotten so expensive.
Yeah. And then
It's
they kill you with the like convenience fees when you pre-book online. Like, oh, pay an extra $6 and you'll have your seat reserved and pay all this bullshit where you can just go and show up and save that. It's like I don't know. It's just kind of annoying too.
Well, and then AMC just announced
Oh
that by
yeah.
the end of this year, you're gonna have to pay more for quote unquote prime seating
It's
in the
so
theaters.
bullshit, though. That's absolutely absurd. Like now, people who aren't as well off are going to get stuck sitting in the front row seats, which no one likes to sit in the front row seats unless
No.
you're, unless you really want to see the movie and that's the only row left. I mean, I've done it before on occasion, but
As a kid, it was kind of fun to be in the front row, but
yeah,
like as an
yeah.
adult, you don't
You're
want to
like,
be in the
hell
fucking
no.
front row. No, like my neck already hurts without adding
Exactly.
that to it. But yeah, that's when I saw that, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? This is just outrageous. And I mean, okay, we went to go see the new Ant-Man
Mm,
over the weekend. And we went to a 3:40 showing on a Saturday, okay?
mm.
3:40 p.m. on a Saturday. There were so many empty seats in that theater
Wow.
that I was actually kind of shocked.
Huh.
And I foresee AMC's going to be kicking themselves in the ass
Yeah.
because the thing is they don't have the monopoly on movies.
Right.
They don't. There's Regal, there's Cineplex, there's all
Hmm.
these other carriers that are going to pretty much say, "Fuck you, AMC. We're gonna
Hmm.
take all of your customers because
Right.
you guys just shot
You're
yourselves in the ass."
Yeah, I don't know what they're trying to benefit from that. Like, I don't see how they're thinking that that's going to bring in more money or be good for any of the viewings of the movies. Like, that just to me just seems very greedy. And I don't, there, thankfully, there aren't that many AMC theaters around, so I don't really go to
Yeah.
that much. But it's kind of funny that you mentioned Ant-Man because I was going to ask, like, do you feel like, because obviously Ant-Man's like an older comic.
Hmm.
Do you think they pulled Honey, I Shrunk the Kids kind of, because it kind of has a similar, vibe with the shrinking and the enlarging? And
Yeah.
do you think there could be some connection? Like, that would be kind of interesting. Like, what do you call it? Like a mix up, like the worlds kind of collided and these guys
Well,
were,
well, don't you know, Disney's gonna be like putting everything in a single metaverse or some shit. No, I'm just joking. I mean, it really seems like it's gonna be like that, and they're gonna just connect every single movie they've ever had. And
mm-hmm.
so then it's going to turn out that the dad from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids
Oh my
probably worked
gosh.
for Pim or
Oh my God.
something.
Can you imagine?
And
That shit would be so cool if they did that tie-in though, honestly. Like even if it was just like a small little end credit scene like on one of the movies of Marvel and Ant-Man was there with them. I don't know. I think that would just be kind of really hilarious.
it would be. Don't put it past Disney, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. With how reckless Wayne is, the father, like it wouldn't surprise me if he somehow stumbled into that world and like shrunk Ant-Man or did something while he was trying to fight someone because I mean, don't you feel like in all these movies it kind of was his fault that all this shit happened? Like he left his kids unattended with this device that
Well, to
shrunk
his
them.
knowledge, the device wasn't fucking working. He couldn't get it to work because he needed a fucking baseball.
He needed something to counteract the whatever, I don't know all of the terminology
Oh,
for it,
don't even
but
get me started on
and
that
then
one.
like leaving his 2-year-old kid unattended at a lab so that way he then blows him up, well not blows him up, but enlarges his size or whatever, like that could have been avoided. Like why was he there? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that one definitely.
Not
I
good
on
fathering.
Yeah, honestly, I'll be honest with you. The second one is probably the one I remember the least.
I actually remember that one very well, but I remember how much I don't like it. Like I think it's so
Yeah,
stupid. Like the
I just
concept.
couldn't handle
Oh
it.
no, this big baby tromping through Las Vegas. He's like a Godzilla wannabe or whatever, and
Yeah,
I did not care for that second movie at all. I just felt like it was kind of I don't know. I think it did okay though, honestly. I don't think it because it was coming off of the first
yeah.
one. I think it did okay, but I don't know. I still just didn't care because like all the other kids were gone. You know, it was just focused around like the baby. I mean, well,
They showed up.
did they have other kids in the movie? I forgot.
Yeah, so, because I was double checking this on IMDb, so if I remember correctly, the actor and actress who played the brother sister pair in the first one had like at least a little cameo in the second one.
Yeah, oh yeah, they were still in there, but it just, I don't
They
know.
weren't in the third.
Right, they weren't in the third. That's what I was thinking
Yeah.
of. Yeah, they weren't in the third. But yeah, the second one just, I don't know. The only part that I really did like about that movie is that you know, Carrie Russell.
Uh-huh.
I liked her part, and I guess that was her first movie role, and I did think she was really cute and good in it. But other than that, it just overall did not work for me. Like I don't know. Like there was just nothing redeeming about it where you're like, "Oh, like poor Wayne and his family, you know, they blew up their kid and he's going to get fired from his job for going behind the labs whatever." And it's like, "No, he went in there without permission. He used the equipment and allowed his kid to now grow inside." And also like what were they utilizing that technology for? Like what purpose does that technology have in the world? Like why do we need to enlarge humans like that? Like what? I don't get it. Like
I don't know either. That one, I think that's part of why I just really didn't care for the second one
yeah.
at all. When I think of the series, I think of the first one and then the
Mhm.
third one.
Mhm.
Mainly because first one's just, I mean, it's just classic. But then the third
Yes.
one has, I don't know, like the parents have disappeared, that kind of thing. And then Bug Hall plays
I
the
noticed
older
that.
Adam.
I forgot about him from A Little
Yeah,
Rascal. Yes.
yes,
Oh, I
he,
love that movie.
and so then like that was in between Little Rascals. I believe I could have my timeline mixed up. And
I think Little
Get a
Rascal
Clue.
came out in 95. If it might be earlier actually. Because I know Mary Kate and Ashley had a cameo in that.
Yeah, and they were young
They were
with that.
youngish, but I think they were still like, because Bug
94.
94. Okay, so I knew it was around that
Yeah.
time. So yeah, it was coming off of kind of that movie role.
Yeah, he was coming off of that, and then like right after, I think is when he was in Get a Clue with Lindsay
Mm.
Lohan and Brenda Song
Mm-hmm.
for Disney Channel also. So yeah, this one I did, the third one I did enjoy
Yeah,
way
it was
more than the
fun.
second.
Oh yeah, definitely more than the second. Yeah, I kind of I liked how they flipped the tables, and then now it's the adults being shrunk, and now the adults are trying to figure out how to get out of the situation, and basically it's like how do we let the kids know? Because it's kind of like one of those movies where everything's set up to where the kids thought the parents left them for a good reason. It's in
Hmm.
Would you ever throw a party though if you were told not to and your parents were gone and you're like, you know what, we're gonna throw a party?
I never was much of a party person,
Me neither. Yeah,
so no. My brothers
yeah,
probably would have, but I wouldn't.
yeah. I think my sister may have too, but no,
Yeah.
I would not have. Did you see the cameo with Mila Kunis in it?
Mila,
I'm
uh-huh.
so cute.
Well,
Oh,
so I always forget how it works in this because Adam, Bug's character, and then is the other two cousins, or was the girl the sister? I can never remember.
she wasn't. She was the. I think she was. Her and the other kid were
Cousins?
the kids of yeah their uncle or whatever. Yeah, so I guess
Yeah, okay.
cousins.
So, the main girl is
Mm.
Allison Mack.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was trying to remember where I remembered her from. Okay.
Yeah. So,
Hmm.
another little disclaimer. We don't condone anything going on with her at
Oh,
the
what did she
moment.
do?
You don't, oh, you don't know? She's
I forgot who she was, so I don't really know what she's been in. So I was trying to look to
so
see.
I
Something with Smallville.
yeah, she was in Smallville. Is she currently incarcerated?
Incarcerated.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Guilty plea, sentencing, arrest. What the hell? Sex
Um,
trafficking? Oh, God,
the
girl. What the
Nexum,
hell?
yeah, Nexum is what
Wow.
she was supposedly a part of.
I don't know what that is.
A sex cult.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Not someone who I would have envisioned to be involved in
Yeah,
it. She was cute as a kid, but
she was. She was like all three of them were cute.
yeah, yeah, they're all cute.
I will always remember. Now, what did Mitch have? What was his where like he needed the potassium? The banana has potassium, like because he faints or something. He's feeling sick during the party.
Oh, yeah, 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 because he was taking the medication and yeah,
Yeah, and always remember that scene. Always.
really.
Like that seems like ingrained in me for some reason. I don't know
Huh.
why, but yeah, I just remember because the parents are like freaking out and everything, and but they're too tiny to be able to help. And then who is it? Buck's character, I think, is the one who's like, because the sister's like, he needs potassium. And it's like, bananas have potassium, and runs and grabs the banana or something like that.
Well, hey, at least they taught us kids something as growing up. Eat your
Yeah,
bananas, kids.
eat your bananas for sure.
Yeah. I thought that it was cute the way that they used different things like to for the parents to navigate through the house, like the Hot Wheels track, and then they used the bubble
Yes.
maker, and then I don't know. I thought that was really innovative, like utilizing stuff you would find around a normal house and how you would kind of navigate through it as a tiny person.
Yeah, for sure. It was just always so much fun, like just
Mm.
watching it. And they did do a great job on the sets and making it look believable. I mean, watching it now, we were kind of like, okay, that's
You
definitely
know,
a green
yeah.
screen or
Right.
whatever,
Yeah.
but
I mean, to do something like that, you know they're going to be utilizing technology like that. So you kind of have to look past all of that. I mean, I know for the, especially for the third one, because it was a direct to video, it didn't have, the theater release. The budget was really small. I think they had started going into it with like a $40 million budget, but the production, whatever, eventually brought them down to where they only were at 7 million. So that makes
yeah.
the ability to make a good movie like go down tremendously. So of course there's going to be things cut and whatever, but I still felt like it was a better made movie than the second one. And
Oh
it's
my
just,
gosh,
you know what I mean?
yes.
Which is crazy, but sometimes that happens. Even though you don't have a big budget, you can make a better movie than something where you're given a huge budget because the story just doesn't work or whatever. So
Oh
you're kind of
yeah,
screwed.
absolutely. Like, I mean, that's kind of how we talked about with the first Turtles movie. That was an
Mm-hmm.
independent film
Right.
and everything, and
Right.
that destroyed at the theaters and everything.
Yeah. There apparently is like another sequel in the works that the dad is supposedly coming out of retirement to be a part of, which is pretty cool. I mean, I will watch it. I'm here for it. I don't know what they're gonna do with it, but
He'd have to come out of retirement for me to probably watch it. Like, he'd actually have
right.
to be in it, and it not
Oh yeah.
just be like a small, tiny
Mm-hmm.
cameo role.
Exactly. Yeah, he better be like the main role. He still should be the dad and
Mhm.
all kooky and however with all of his inventions. I think that would be really cool if they can make that happen. I don't know who else would be involved in it, but I think they would have to have him. Like you can't just create a whole new cast and be like, "Oh, we're going to try to do this again."
It'd be cool if they brought Bug back as
Is
Adam,
he
like
still
adult
acting?
Adam.
I
I don't know if he is or
And that's the
not.
thing, like none of the original kids are still acting. Like apparently all of them retired after the second one, I think it was, or at least by the time the third one came out. And then like unfortunately the mom from the first two movies, because they switched it out in the third one,
Mhm.
she passed away So she wouldn't be returning,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
So Buck still has credits
Hmm. Okay.
within the last 5 years.
So maybe they could pull him into it.
Yeah. Which would be pretty cool. If they could bring, was it Rick is the dad, I believe his name?
I think it
Yeah,
is
Rick,
Rick. Yeah.
Rick,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Rick
Yeah. Rick.
Moranis
Yeah.
and Bug
And
Hall. If they could,
I honestly liked the mom from the third one. I remember her from One Tree Hill. Like that's kind of the biggest thing that I remember her from growing up watching. So I would
uh-huh.
be okay if she came back because I really love her.
So did you recognize the neighbor mom in the first one?
Um, n- yes and no. Where is she from?
Buffy. She plays
Okay.
Buffy's mom.
Okay, that makes sense now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, she looks kind of like a 90s face, like somewhere you would
Yeah.
remember her from. Okay. I didn't really, honestly, I didn't really watch Buffy growing up. So, but I do remember some episodes of Buffy. Like I remember that, but I didn't watch Buffy enough to
Yeah.
know. But,
So,
interesting.
all right, we gotta talk about this.
Uh oh.
You living down here in Orlando area
Hmm.
for most of your life, did you ever go do the Honey I Shrunk the Audience?
I was looking at that because I was very curious as to if I had done that, and I mean, unless that memory went bye bye and or whatever, I don't think I ever did do that. Like it
Are
does.
you
I don't
serious?
know. Did you?
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
Oh.
I was because it stopped running like late 90s or something,
Hmm.
early 2000s. But we came down in I think it was 96 or something like
Okay.
that. And that was one of the things that we did because
Oh man.
that was on so many of like the little videos that was sent because this was like the beginnings of I think the Disney Vacation Club thing where they'd send the
Mm.
videos
Hmm.
out to people and all those like 90s commercials and stuff. We
Yeah. Yeah.
literally had a VHS tape that was just all of those commercials plus other things to do at Disney. And I remember because I mean, I'm probably just barely 4 feet tall and everything, because I was five.
Right.
And so, like, sitting in the chairs, it was always talking, like, they were talking about how, oh, you're gonna get sneezed on, you're gonna feel something on your feet and all this
Oh
kind of stuff.
shit.
So I'm sitting there with like my knees up to my chest because I was scared to death all night. And then, of course, yeah, you get sneezed on
Wow.
by like the dog, and like the seat in front of you like sprays you,
Hmm.
and you feel like something not just at your feet, but like behind your fucking back.
So that's kind of like the same concept as A Bug's Life at Animal Kingdom. They had that show where you had all those effects going on around you too. It was like, what do they call it? A 5D or I don't know what. You had the smells. You know what I'm
Honestly,
saying?
yeah, I think they pull a lot of that
It sounds
from
like it.
the Honey I Shrunk the Audience because that was
It sounds
pre
like it.
Bugs Life.
I was gonna say,
And
yeah, that came after. So
yeah. And so I just remember like my one of my brothers loved the first movie and everything. So that was part of the reason why we went onto this ride or this show, whatever it was called. If I remember correctly, you had like the 3D glasses
yes. Mm-hmm.
because everything was coming out to you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what even made it even more realistic, like the sneeze or the like fan or whatever it was. That ride, whatever it was called, was a lot of fun. Like it was memorable.
Yeah, the Honey I Shrunk the Audience thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I did that. I mean, I would have loved to have done it, but maybe I did, but I just don't remember it. But yeah, it's a very cool concept. I think it was really successful. I mean, I think they had that attraction for quite a few years, or I don't know the extent of how long it was going, but I mean, and I know the original cast was a part of that, which is neat. So, do you have like a favorite invention, I guess you could call it, from the series? Like, do you, besides like the shrinking and the enlarging machine, was there anything from the series that you remembered that you think would be really cool to have, or you wanted to have when you were younger? I know they have like the which I kind of felt like a lot of the inventions that they were doing almost kind of reminded me of the Jetsons in a sense. Like some of the stuff
Hmm.
was really obscure and just kind of like out there and kind of unnecessary in a sense, but it was like, oh, this is something different. This is kind of cool. But I was just like, nah, it's not very practical. Like in a day to day living, like it's like, it's a little too far fetched, but
Yeah. I think I kind of always liked their little mechanism that they had to show when like food was ready. The
uh,
light she'd turn on
mm-hmm.
for her dad to see
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
breakfast or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought that would work really well at my house because my mom was always having to like yell downstairs for my brothers and they just wouldn't be paying attention or whatever.
Right.
So I always thought that would be a good one to have.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that as working, especially with like a larger household. They give a very
Hmm.
hectic household, and there's so many things going on. And so, yeah, that would have been a good thing to utilize to kind of, hey, food's ready, or hey, the laundry's ready, or whatever
Yeah.
tasks needed to be done, or something. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I think I liked the like mailbox mechanism they had. Like I know they had like a couple different versions of it where I think the first one was like where the dog was able to like get the mail, and then I think I don't know if it was the second or the third one where then it became like this underground thing where it like and it shot up
Yeah.
into the house or whatever. Like I thought that's kind of cool. Like to not have to go get your mail.
Yeah, very smart house.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Yes. It does have that vibe too. A very, I wonder if Smart House stole from them actually.
Both Disney products, so
I mean, they did have like a couple of, a little bit of like ahead of your time type
mhm.
things with like that helmet that he was wearing that was kind of a like a hands-free sort of technology where you could talk on the phone. I think it was like
Yeah.
shading him at one point. So that was kind of a little bit innovative of things we didn't really have at that time, which was different. But like I said, for the most part, I don't know. A lot of those things were just not practical to where like they had that vacuum for the yard. Like, I don't know. Like, would
Yeah,
that be
that was
useful? I don't know.
I don't either. I did like how the kid in the first one, the son, talks the other kid into paying him to mow his yard.
Oh God. Yeah,
It's
that
not
was kind
it's
of
not
ingenious.
I'm gonna pay you to mow my yard. It's you're gonna pay me to mow my yard
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because I
Yeah.
got the cool tech and everything. Like, I mean, you gotta give it to him.
Yeah, I mean, heck yeah. Kids kids definitely want to use like the latest and greatest stuff. So if you're able to somehow use that, I mean, you would probably pay a couple bucks or whatever, or trade something or whatever just to be able to. I don't know that I would. I feel like
I wouldn't.
boys would do that
Not
more so.
not to like freaking mow somebody else's yard. I'd be
Oh
like,
God,
I
I don't
have to
want to
do
mow
that
no one's yard.
myself already. Like,
That's a
really?
lot of work. It's
Yeah.
like this mower needs to mow mow the yard itself. That's what I want to see. Like I don't want to
Yeah.
mow the yard.
I don't want to have to be sitting here watching it, making sure it doesn't kill somebody,
Oh
run
God.
over some shrunken kids or
Like it
something.
almost did. Like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that was a very nerve-wracking scene. Like that. I don't know. I really liked the way that they built that whole yard concept. Like it really did make you think like, oh, if you were that small and in the grass, that's kind of how that would all look. And just them encountering the ants and the encountering all of the grass and like the and then it like water went on it and then it's like this huge like flash flood almost. You're like,
Yeah.
what?
Well, so Disney did reuse most of their Honey I Shrunk stuff at the parks for Bugs Life stuff because there
Mm.
also was you could shrink down and go onto like a little play area.
Oh, yeah, and you can kind of simulate what they went through
Yeah.
there. I don't think I
And
ever did
so
that either. Did you?
I did because when we were down here that first time, I mean, we were a family of five. We didn't know if we would ever be back.
Right.
And so we did everything that we could that was
Mm-hmm.
around at the time. I mean, at that time, we focused mainly on like Magic Kingdom stuff.
Mm.
And because there wasn't Animal Kingdom at that time when we came down here,
Mm-hmm.
it was MGM Studios as opposed to Hollywood Studios.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't recall doing that necessarily because we split it between a couple of Disney days and a couple of Universal
Right.
days.
Right. What did you think about the like opening sequence shots? Like, do you remember those, like the title sequence, where they do the credits and stuff and they had kind of like that animation? Do you remember those at all?
Sort of, kind of, not really. I mean, we literally just rewatched first one the other
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. The first one had like a really cool intro sequence, I thought. Like, I thought it was
Yeah,
really creative.
yeah, we skipped it.
Oh, no, girl, you can't be doing that. That's a
We
very
got
cool
to
part.
I'm like, I was at the point where I'm like, okay, I want to watch this. I just want to get to the beginning. Like, I just want to get going.
Yeah.
And because we were also on a time crunch and everything. I'm like, let's just get it done. And
I
so
hear
yeah, I
you. I
skipped
hear you.
over.
I hear you. So, you remember how I forgot which movie we were talking about or what we were talking about. Remember how you had mentioned something about how like the whole movie soundtracks and how they work as far as like they usually back then they were releasing them kind of a little ways
After,
after the movie.
uh-huh.
I forgot what
Yeah,
we were
because we were
talking about.
we were talking about Rush
Oh yeah, with
and the number one movie
the
or the
song.
number one song
Mhm.
for
Yes.
1992. Yeah, because it wasn't actually like it came out with the movie
Right.
in the end of 91, but it wasn't actually released on soundtrack or anything until
Right.
1992.
Yeah. So with the first movie, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, they didn't release the soundtrack until 20 years later. And it was only a limited release of 3,000 copies. But it's like,
What?
what was even the point at that
What
rate?
was the point?
Like, why did it take them 20 years is mind-boggling. Like, and it's crazy because the guy that did the soundtrack was James Horner, which is responsible for Titanic and Avatar and all those really great music
Hmm.
soundtracks. So he was a part of that first one, but then it took him 20 years to release it. That's really strange.
I wonder if there was like some copyright issues or something.
Yeah, I'm very curious because of how successful the first movie did. You thought that they would want to play off of that and also release the
Hmm.
soundtrack because everyone probably would have bought it.
Well,
But
because I mean,
then,
you gotta remember at that time it was still record, like actual records. It wasn't CDs. CDs hadn't come out yet.
the cassettes and the
The
vinyls.
cassettes and
What are
vinyls,
those,
yeah.
kids?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so I'm sure, I mean, I don't know how much, if it was expensive for productions,
Hmm.
producing. And like that, I think that's part of the reason why so many of the vinyls, especially, it's like they're numbered because I think it is a bit to produce each one. And so that's why
Right.
they always do limited numbers of those. So maybe that had something to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that also, and I'm just reading off of what was on Wiki. There was some sort of copyright issue with like the intro thing that I was talking about earlier.
Uh,
I guess it was they didn't what do they call that when they sample from an older they
get the
didn't
licensing.
possibly the licensing or like they didn't credit the original creators of that
Mm,
song. That's what I was trying to look for. Yeah, I guess they didn't or whatever it was. And so they think they finally paid them an undisclosed
mm,
sum to settle it. But there was that, but then there was also another lawsuit type thing that they dealt with for the Honey I Blew Up movie.
oh gosh.
There was another lawsuit that let me see, it's also on Wiki about. somebody who had claimed to have come up with that idea of like enlarging a kid. They had supposedly had that idea already and had like wrote a screenplay before this movie came about. And they ended up trying to like sue Disney for their
Copyright
creation.
infringement.
And then I guess they paid that guy like 300,000
Shut up and
to
leave.
close out on it. But it's like, of course, Disney has the ability to do that. But,
Yeah.
and I guess when you're a large production company like that, you're going to be in a lot of those lawsuits. So I get that.
Hmm.
There's a lot of things to go through, a lot of hoops, a lot of things to tie up, and you're always going to encounter that. But I do feel like this is not the first time we've encountered a Disney lawsuit issue that on this podcast. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be lots more. Don't even get me started on Aladdin, but that's for another day. But
We could have like an entire season of purely just
lawsuits of Disney.
like what movie, what show caused a lawsuit for Disney. I mean,
Yeah.
that would be like an entire like 22 episode season, at least. I'm sure of it.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. There's probably a ton out there that we don't even know about because a lot of them are kind of, probably pushed under and
Oh
not
yeah.
let anyone know those are happening.
Oh yeah.
That, yeah, that's, I don't know. I also feel like I love the concept. I think that the movie is great, but I do feel like in the first one, we don't really get any sort of explanation as to why he's even shrinking things. Like, what is the whole point behind that? Like, what was he trying to achieve, especially that he has it all set up in his own house? Like, not, not in a lab, not in a facility or anything. He's just building a shrinking machine. Why? Like, what purpose? With kids, something's going to happen and they're going to play with it.
Oh
And that
yeah.
door should have
Of
had a lock
course.
on it or something. That shouldn't have been free range for the kids to go into. Like,
Yeah.
regardless if it was working or not. That just
Yeah.
not a good idea. Mm-mm.
No, not at
Oh,
all.
well, I don't know. All in all, like I said, I did really enjoy the series, and I felt like it was a movie that I remember a lot from my childhood, and I wanted to kind of, give it recognition. And I know you really enjoyed the series as well, but you don't think you watched the TV show at all?
I honestly don't remember it. I didn't pull it up or anything to
Yeah.
do any bit of it, but I truly don't recall it. Now it could be something that I might have seen some episodes, but just
Mm-hmm.
filed it away to something
Yeah.
else.
Which I incorrectly said this, but the mom in the TV series is the one from One Tree Hill, not the third movie. So
Okay.
that I said that wrong. And you know who also is in the TV series? Do you know Thomas Dekker?
Why does that name sound familiar?
He did like the Terminator series. He did what else did he do? He was in Heroes.
Thomas Dekker.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, we actually were just watching the Sarah Connor
Oh, really?
Chronicles.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
like that
about a
show. That
year
was
ago
good.
or so.
Yeah. But yeah, he's in that TV show. He's a little cute youngster. Outside of everything else, I think the only other scene that I really liked in the movie that I felt I wanted to mention, just because we've already talked about bees and how other movies have made us terrified of bees. But do you remember the scene in the first one where they're riding on the bee
No,
and they're
I really
oh my
don't.
oh my gosh, that scene is hilarious because like I forgot how it started, but then they ended up getting like onto the bee, and it kind of reminded me of a little bit of like the Rescuers Down Under, where they were riding around on. I forgot what were they riding around on exactly, but
They rode around on a lot of things.
yeah, it's around a lot of creatures, and so it kind of
Yeah.
reminded me of that same concept, but then also about how this bee is ginormous and it kind of terrifying the kids. And I'm like, didn't they just do this in My Girl? Or, well, no, they didn't do it. This was afterwards. But I'm like, okay, then you had My Girl that came out 2 years later and scared kids again with bees. So I was like, why were they terrifying kids in the 90s of bees? Like, why were we so afraid of them? Like, why the poor bees were being used in this way? I don't like it.
I
I
don't know.
really don't.
That is sad. Yeah, I don't remember that scene necessarily, but a part of me like kind of is seeing it a little bit, but Also
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
has that whole Ant-Man feel again.
Right. Well, Ant-Man and the Wasps, and then they have like, yeah, the bee.
Yep.
Oh, that was really funny. Oh my gosh. You didn't rewatch the third one. You said just you rewatched the first one.
I just rewatched the first one. The third one still, I think I'd seen it so many times. It was still very, very well in my memory.
Okay, do you remember the where once they find out that the parents are gone and they're like, "Oh, let's go to the store and get snacks or whatever for other party or whatever," and they have like $10, and the girl comes back. They come back with like a ton of fucking bags, and I'm like, you were able to buy all that for $10? Like nowadays, I'd be able to buy like a bag of chips and a loaf of bread. I'm like, they came with so much crap, like so many
I
different
know.
chips and shit. And then I think she went back out and got more chips or something. I'm like, why do you need this many chips for one? But I just thought that was so hysterical because I'm like, that is just not possible today to be
No,
able to get all that stuff.
it's not, and it sucks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It really makes me miss the 90s that much more. I'm like, oh my gosh. Can you imagine to have the income that we make now to be able to go to the grocery store and be able to buy stuff at that price? Like we
That would
would be able to take
be
more
incredible.
vacations.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's
Man, I missed that.
that's crazy. Yeah. I felt like they had a lot of product placement though in the third movie. Did you notice that
Yeah.
they had a ton of product placement? Like it was the Hot Wheels, the Tostitos, the Sony speakers. They had I forgot what else, but there was like almost every scene there was something that they were throwing in your face. And I'm wondering if that's kind of the start of all this product placement that they have nowadays.
Well, that's also probably partially how they were able to even fund the making
The movie,
of it.
yeah,
Because you said that it had started
a
off with a
low,
larger budget and then it got cut significantly. So they were
mm-hmm.
trying to, that's probably part of how they kept being able to do
That's
was
true. Yeah.
having that product placement in those different companies helping support.
Right. Yeah. No, yeah, that does help a movie or a show a lot when you utilize those. Do you feel like you've ever wanted to get something when you've seen it in a show or movie, like when they place it like that? Do you feel like you've ever I'm trying to think if there's anything that I was like, "Oh, I got to get that now."
I don't know, honestly. I can't think of anything. I mean, there have been times where I'll go to the store and I'll see something and be like, oh yeah, that was on whatever.
Mm.
But it's not necessarily that, oh my gosh, that was on this movie, I have to have it.
Mhm.
It's more of, oh, okay, I remember that, but I don't know, maybe the only product placement that ever truly worked on me was Mary-Kate and Ashley movies and
Oh my god,
shows.
yes. Probably, yeah. I think so. Her, not her, them and Lizzie McGuire. I feel like those
Yeah,
shows and movies, and more so like the fashion too. Just
exactly.
those are, I wanted the fashion more than anything.
Yeah, that product placement was.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. You wanted everything.
And it was one of those, well, they were drinking a Coke in this one, so I've got to drink Coke now.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It was,
Yes.
at that time and age, like that was how it worked for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think if the content or the whoever was behind it, I think if they were very influential in our life, we were more inclined to want to
Yeah,
have and do those things. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, that series, I enjoyed the movies, but I don't think it was ever like, oh, they're doing it, I want to do it too. I don't think it was ever that type of relationship, I think.
agreed,
Yeah.
agreed. So, which set of kids did you prefer the most?
Oh God. I think the original kids did the
Yeah,
best job, honestly. And I wish that they could have carried them through the whole series and been able to develop them more because I did like the character development in that first movie with them. I
yeah,
thought, they kind of went from not liking their neighbors to really forming a closer connection to them, the kids and I think the parents. But I don't know. I thought that that they were the better group of kids. The second movie didn't really bring anything to the table. I could care less about the baby. So, like, you know, what about you?
Kind of a mix between, honestly, the first and the third, because I remember the third so much,
Mm-hmm.
and that having Bug Hall in it and everything. But
Right.
then the first one that was just so classic with those four.
Mm-hmm.
And although I will admit also, I had the neighbors' ages mixed up in my brain, like my memory. I was thinking the one that was wearing the hat was the older one.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, he was the younger one.
I think part of it though is because I think in real life, I think he actually is older than the other guy. I think because I was like doing like deep dive, like, well, not really deep dives, but I was
Really?
looking at him. Yeah, I think he was. I could be completely wrong, but
Little Russ Jr. Yeah, you're
yeah,
right. 2 years older.
yeah.
I don't feel like he looked or acted like he was older. I do have one. I do have a question for you. For I guess it can be considered as my this or that.
Okay.
Would you rather have something, and it could be anything. Like I don't have a specific thing in mind, but would you rather be able to shrink something or enlarge something? Now, people, get your head out of the gutter. We're not talking dirty here either. Oh.
See that? See, my head didn't even go that, but my thing is that you kind of need both because for me personally, like I want to like, shrink something to like get past security or something like that,
Ooh.
but then I want to re-enlarge it
Mm-hmm.
to its proper size, so I would need both. I could take my cat, I could put it in my pocket, and not have to like worry about shit. Or like if somebody's like, if like, oh, could save on pet deposits. I don't have a
Ooh.
cat. This is
There
all
you
just,
go.
I'm just one of those people who has these weird dolls and stuff and like makes it like super crazy and like shrink all of her stuff down to like miniature size for inspections or something like that.
Oh my
And,
gosh.
and then like re-enlarge everything, including
Now that would be a pretty handy thing to have.
that would.
Yeah.
What about you? Which would you prefer? I know I didn't really give an answer. I probably honestly, like I said, I couldn't decide just one because I'd want if I enlarge something, I'd want to be able to like shrink it back to its normal size or vice
I
versa.
thought, well, so here's where I think you're getting confused because like the shrink machine is able to shrink something but then also bring things back to their normal size, whereas the
Mhm.
enlarge one is just enlarging things even more than their normal size. So like if you were trying to enlarge Katniss, she would be a huge ass horse-sized cat. But you could also use the machine to bring her back to her normal size. So that's what you have to think
Okay.
about. Like, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh shit. So I mean, it'd be pretty sweet to like make Katniss take me places.
Yeah, you could ride her, right? Oh my God.
But she would just be like, fuck you.
That's
She'd
that's
be like,
kind of yeah.
you're smaller than me. Fuck you. I'd probably want to shrink stuff
Yeah.
because, like I said, I be able to like shrink it to like get it
Hmm.
by security. Like nothing
Exactly.
bad or anything, but like,
Right. No, I agree. I think being able to shrink things, you would find more practical uses for on everyday objects
yeah,
than enlarging stuff. Like I don't really know what I have that I would want to enlarge. Like, what do
yeah,
you I mean, maybe you could buy a bunch of doll furniture and enlarge it. It would probably be cheaper than regular furniture, but is it going to be comfy? I don't know. But yeah.
exactly. Ooh, and you could use like the shrink ray to if somebody like did a really shitty parking job. Shrink,
Ooh.
shrink your car, move it like a little
Ooh.
Hot Wheel to like on top of the trash can or something, and with a note like, "This is what you get for not knowing how to park, bitch."
That would actually be freaking amazing. Yes, I love that.
I would be so horrible because I would do that shit.
Or like shrink cars on the road so you can pass them. Oh my God, we're bad.
Or somebody's like cutting you off or anything like that, or driving too slow. Driving too slow in the passing lane? Oh
Oh
my gosh.
no, you're done.
Don't,
You're
you're
shrunk.
done. You're done. You're a little fucking Hot Wheel for the rest of eternity until I find you again.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah, because that would be pretty fun.
Mhm.
I don't think I would actually like use that on a living creature. So I probably wouldn't do it while driving down the road. Uh,
They would have to figure out a way to like make the shrink ray smaller because that
hmm.
thing just was not practical as far as carrying it around with you. So that would
I guess in a sense we'd want like the Ant-Man
mm,
shrink or blowing up, like enlarging like discs or whatever you want to fucking call it.
yeah.
You know how like they like here, throw this at that, so kind of thing.
Hmm.
And it's like, okay. So we'd want something like that where we could just throw it at somebody and be like, fuck you. All right. So this isn't necessarily Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but this is kind of movie based. Okay.
Okay.
So normally this for this game that we're going from hella 90s trivia game, this would normally be a battle question. So like
Oh.
multiple people would answer and whoever got closest would win. All right. Well, I'm just asking you because I get to see the fucking
You know
answer.
what it is.
Anyways, but this is movie based. I do like how they have, I don't know if you'll be able to see, I'm covering up the question and the
Mhm.
answer. But you see that little battle?
Yeah.
They're using
Hmm.
fucking Mortal Kombat.
Oh, is that what that
Like,
is? Okay.
yeah,
Cool.
it looks like that's the Mortal Kombat ones,
Hmm.
from like 90s Mortal Kombat games. So, anyways, what was the average movie ticket price in 1990?
Ooh.
This is gonna
So
make you so
19
pissed.
So 1990 coming out of the 80s. Okay.
Mhm.
Do I get like two guesses?
I'll give you two guesses, okay?
Okay.
I'll give you
Uh,
two guesses, but I'm not going to tell you I'm not going to be like, oh, higher or lower on with
okay.
your first one.
Okay.
So pick two prices,
Okay. So my first one, I'm gonna go with 750.
okay?
And my second guess, ooh, I'm gonna say 675.
So I'm going to tell you right now, it's not 750 because I used to pay 750 in high school.
Okay.
I
So
like
I'm got
literally
too
like
high.
yeah. So the average price, this is going to piss people off because why can't they be this price? So $4.22.
Ooh, yeah. I thought it was a bit on the low side. Dang. Yeah, we're not even close to that. No.
It's what, three times
Three
for
times as
freaking
much.
freaking matinee
Mm-hmm.
right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not even gonna get into that bullshit. We already got into that bullshit earlier.
Yeah, that's true. We did. Yeah. Dang.
Yeah, no, that's
Well, I think that about kind of wraps up the Honey I Shrunk series, and
yeah,
I'm okay with that. We
yeah.
shall,
Well, real quick, one last question.
yes.
Okay. So, as a young female in the third movie,
Hmm.
did you think any of the boys were cute?
Honestly, I didn't really pay attention to the guys that walked in. I think there was three of them,
Hmm.
but I can't picture any of them in my head to be like, oh yeah, he's cute.
So I do remember when I was younger, the one who actually has whatever medicine he's on or whatever. I can't remember what his character's name is. It's not Bug
Oh,
Paul's
the
character. I
the
know that.
girls the girl's brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I was like, oh my gosh, he's so cute. And
Really?
I'm like, what, 6 at the time? So I don't even know like where that was coming from or anything. But yeah, that was one of the first, I think, movies I watched where I was like that I can remember. I know that there was a few others before then that we'll get to when we get to those movies. That was definitely one that I do remember. Because like all of the ones I was like, oh my gosh, they're so cute. Like had the same like
Same look.
hairstyle. Yeah, same look in
Yeah,
a
that's
sense.
kind of how I was too. I mean, they all kind of had the same, like any of the guys that I like, they were all pretty much like the same. They had the same look or whatever.
Yeah.
I was trying to see if they had like any pictures on like here of
'Cause he had like
that kid. Oh yeah, he kind of does look like JTT with his hair and stuff.
a little bit, yeah. And
And then the guy that like she likes that is kind of hitting on her. I don't like his look. I don't like the look of him. But
I gotta remember what
they
he
kind of made like a reference in that movie when he was trying to kiss her, or I don't or he did kiss her or whatever, and she was
uh-huh.
like, you should be asking for consent first. And I was like, oh, okay,
Oh, I
girl,
completely
she
forgot about
knows.
that. That's so funny. Well, like not funny, but like so crazy that
It was
back
very
in
forward for
97.
its time to be like mentioning something like that in a kids movie
Yeah.
for her age, because she was pretty young too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He reminded me of that one kid. He kind of had a look of the same. I don't know if you ever saw, these were old, old Disney ones. The Escape to Witch Mountain series.
I never watched like the old
Okay.
version of them. I watched like
I
there's like a late 90s version, right?
There was a mid 2000s with The Rock.
There's a 95 version. Yeah, that's what I thought there was.
95.
Because I only watched that movie because I liked the lead guy in it, and he was my crush through the 90s. But
Okay, hold on. Hold the phone here. Hold the phone here. Oh my gosh, wait a second. That had Brink in it?
mm-hmm. Yeah, Eric. Yeah, he was my crush. Oh.
Oh my, I kind of vaguely remember that now that I see it, but I completely forgot they did that shit. So I'm talking about the like 70s version.
Okay. Yeah. No, I definitely did
Um,
not watch that.
So the 70s version, the boy in it, I always thought was cute. The boy from Honey We Shrunk Ourselves, it looks a lot like him.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. And so that's crazy. Now we're gonna have to see if that I don't even think that one's on Disney Plus. That's fucking crazy. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, I don't know that it's available either, but
All right, that was
yeah.
my question. So
I feel like the first movie, if there was any, the one kid would have been a bit more of like a, oh, he's cute. The main, like the neighbor, the older one.
the
I
older
would,
one that was like creeping on the sister and
yeah,
everything at
yeah,
the
when she was
beginning.
dancing around, yeah. I felt like if probably any of them in the whole series, I probably would have leaned more in his direction. But yeah.
He reminded me of somebody, but I can't. It's been driving me crazy for the last couple of days because I can't
The
figure out who.
guy from the first one?
Yeah,
Really? Huh.
yeah. I'll probably like remember it in the middle of the night or something, and you'll get a text from me at probably like 2 in the morning, be like, "What the fuck does she want?"
Now what theory is she coming up with? Yeah, he does kind of have like a vibe, like a look to him where he does look like somebody. Well, anyway, thanks guys for listening to us ramble on about this very interesting but very fun trilogy of movies. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe, and keep up with us on Instagram, and tune in next week for an all new episode of 90s Noise.
See you next time.